Nope. Nope. No, they're actually, I can get at them from behind, which is going to be pretty nice. Holy cow, that Achilles is kind of slapping, huh? Alright. Hello everyone, this is your host Professor Reha here with a new mic. I've received numerous comments that, hey, maybe you should, get a better mic, and while that mic was a good one, I'm not getting rid of it, by the way. It is a special effects mic, it is supposed to sound retro. That is what it is designed for, but what I have failed to realize is that maybe that a special effects mic would be appropriate for specific situations, and using it as a general purpose mic not only is not ideal, but takes away from the point of having a special effects mic. It becomes less special if I use it all the time, so I am going to reserve that mic for very specific projects, so you will be hearing those special effects again. They're built into the mic, it's why I bought it in the first place. I still love the mic. I do not regret purchasing either of my mics, but this is a mic that satisfies both my requirements of a mic, which I'm not going to get into right now in a SMITE video, but also happens to essentially be an extremely good mic. If you hear any kind of background rumbling noise, that's this mic picking up my AC, when my previous regular mic, which was a Blue Yeti, wasn't picking that up as much. And that's because I haven't fully adjusted this mic yet. It is far more sensitive than I am used to. No, not today, Zerg. Not today. So yes, I have this new mic now, which is very powerful, and I hope you enjoy the clearer audio, and you will be hearing the special effects mic in specific projects in which it makes sense to use. So you have that to look forward to, I guess. But beyond that, back to the point here. Both team comps have fairly strong compositions. I think ours is slightly stronger. I personally prefer a Guardian to a Warrior in Joust. I'm gonna whiff completely, but that's okay. She used her dodge anyways, or CC removal. Now, Apollo just made a mistake there. I actually just noticed this. Apollo switched targets from Medusa, who was actually a more viable target at that time, to Chang'e. Now, that was a mistake because he was probably in a position where he could have killed Medusa, in all honesty. But not necessarily the Chang'e. And the reason why he couldn't have killed the Chang'e is because she's got a self-heal where where Medusa does not. So that was something of a mistake on Apollo's part there. That was not great. Yeah, he shouldn't have ulted there. I've almost got sovereignty, so I'm just going to wait for that. Alright. Let me see if I can grab this speed buff in time. So, Paulo's ult is down, which is not great. Let me see what the situation here is mid. Are they after this damage buff? No, they're not. That's still down. Okay. No one's at mid, so I can go ahead here and sponge a little bit off the wave. Let me delay that. Alright, I delayed the Chang'e, who decided not to do anything with that. That was good. He's not building protections? He's hybrid, okay. Now, as the front line, he should actually technically be going full tank. Also, the interesting fact that he's going armorless is fairly telling. He's not really looking to be a true front line in the traditional sense, because of just the indication that he's going with the increased damage. They are trying to get, I think, the early game advantage, I guess, by trying to get a kill off early. I'm going to need Pestilence as my next item. I just wanted Sovereignty because they have the two physicals. I still whiff, though, so that's, a thing. Although she's pretty far down now, so what we're basically able to accomplish at this point is we're wearing them down and putting them to a risky position. She's staying up because she's trying to heal people, which is fairly interesting. But at this particular point, if we can keep them all backing and kind of rotating into a 2v3 scenario, that means they can't really push up at any point. I'll put that there. There we go. Oh, I'm dead. I didn't think he was going to come back that quickly, to be completely honest. I made a mistake there. I miscalculated. I thought he was going for a camp and it would take him longer. I was wrong on all accounts. I'm wondering if he's actually going to go tank at all. He is going hybrid at this point in time. Also, the Ra should be saving his ult for when I have abducted somebody, honestly. That's a guaranteed hit. If they don't beads out of it. Chang'e goes for Thoth first, huh? Interesting. They're trying to play very aggressively, which is fairly interesting to me. Okay, that's a good kill. I did not intend to steal that. Oh, he's dead. We can kill him. There we go. I was expecting her to ult me, to be completely honest. The fact that she did not surprises me greatly. Alright, so she goofed that. She possibly could have killed me with a good ult there. Oh, there's Medusa. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to survive Medusa. Chang'e I can take. I can't handle Medusa right now. She's got Kaival, which is going to be a pretty huge boost. I only have Sav. Huh. He's already wasted his stuns, so that doesn't matter. He's going to try to do his dodge to me, and then he's going to try... What? He just wasted his blink. He did nothing with that. He's... This is an easy kill here. He's not going to get away. That was... What the heck was that? And you're just dead. Why the heck? Now, I killed him because the other two hadn't followed me at all, if you noticed. They trusted that I was going to be able to get that. They had farming to do. Chasing him down was going to be a negative for their experience in gold. It was not going to end up getting them anything, whereas a minion wave would probably at that point be a little bit more worthwhile for them. A full minion wave at least, and they needed to stop the minion wave from going under tower to make sure that they could reap all those benefits as well. So ultimately that was why. Even though that does give me experience in gold, and I can't use that quite as effectively. That was really awesome, by the way. Even though that does give me experience in gold that I can't really use a lot of, at the very least, it prevented them from wasting their time on a chase that they didn't need. That didn't matter too much, at least. Oh, so close. I completely whiffed that, but that's alright. I have my ult, I'm not too concerned. Oh, we'll also have... Oh, she actually timed that right. I thought she goofed the timing, but she did not. I'm fairly impressed. Okay. We don't need to be here then, Ra. Okay. There we go. Nice. I mean, I'll die, that's fine. That is a perfectly good trade. Well, okay, I'm worth more than the Achilles is, but... Achilles is also definitely serving as a source of damage, so... Let me see, what do I want next? I think I'm going to try to go for Gauntlet of Thieves next. It's a little late, so it is quite a risk here. But with the execute from Achilles, keeping my allies alive with more protections is going to be very important. So I do want to grab the Gauntlet of Thieves for the extra protections of both. I won't build Heart Ward because the only one that would be needing that would be Chang'e. Would be the only justification for that, and her alone is not a good enough justification. Ah, I couldn't stop him. There we go. Oh, okay, I probably shouldn't have tanked that. Oh, there we go. There we go. Oop. Oop. Too soon after the, Yeah, we can tank this. Go for it. Nice. That was awesome. That was awesome. That was amazing. That was really good teamwork. I hesitated a little more than probably I should have. We could have gotten that a little bit faster. It would have been a little less risk. But it paid off in the end. It didn't really make a huge difference. So I will say that. So it's not really a huge deal. But I could have been a little bit snappier on the decision making there. Definitely. Yeah, he's getting cursed on. I might get that, but I'm leaning more towards sprint, I think. Would be a bit more broadly useful. I'm just going to pass that through here. While I help Ra. Alright. I mean, we can take this. We're ahead of them by a decent bit. Nope. Nope. No, they're actually, I can get at them from behind, which is going to be pretty nice. Holy cow, that Achilles is kind of slapping, huh? Alright. Oh, shoot. That's right. That's right. You don't have the health. You don't have the protections. Oh, this is going to be interesting. Chang'e. Okay, he played it safe. I don't blame him. I don't blame him. That wasn't a bad move. Right now, we're all on the border of death, except for myself. Oh, I took too much damage. But they did pick up the Medusa, so that's fairly important. I'm worth the Medusa. She isn't doing great, but at the very least, it's less damage on their team. The Chang'e is in horrific condition. There we go. There we go. That's 2 for 1. That's 2 for 1. Alright, what do I need next? What do I really want next? Let me see. That's a tough question. Breastplate of Valor. I want those cooldowns. I'll probably pick up some form of self-heal afterwards, so that way I can at least... I'll probably actually specifically pick up Mail of Renewal that will help with Achilles Execute. So I think that'll be very important. What, you see me, you bail? What is this? Nice. I'm less concerned about the... Even though Achilles is building some damage, I'm less concerned about his damage output compared to the Medusa's. This is the weirdest fight I've ever been a part of. And then you're gonna dash, and then you're gonna... Oh, that was it. That was your dash. Now you're dead. I'm kind of surprised I was able to get ahead of her to... I mean, I'm only one level ahead of her, but she has Atalanta's bow, so I'm kind of surprised that I had the opportunity to get in front of her and block her dash. That surprises me a lot. That was a little weird. But okay. Okay, I whiffed that. Not... Oh, he's got a kill... Ansley? He's got Achilles. Yeah, nice job, me. Good job. He's got himself. That's good. We can pick something up here. This is a fight we can win. Nope. That was a nice ult. That was a nice ult. That's what you needed to do earlier. No, I can't stop that. Oh, the Apollo. He went in. There we go. Alright. What do you got, Achilles? Come on. There we go. They can't do enough damage to me anymore. They don't have enough penetration right now, I don't think. Pretty sure this is a penetration issue on their part right now. The enemy teams agreed to a surrender. Yeah, they had 10 flat here. She had 10% here. He had the 15% reduction, which isn't enough. So what happened there? Well, as I was talking about at the beginning of the match, the main problem here was primarily in the issue of the Achilles not really dedicating himself to a full tank build. He was far too easy to eliminate. Now, at first glance, the hybrid build that he was working on was enough. I mean, 60 physical protection compared to the actual equivalent I get here. I get 60 here, I have 250 health here, he gets 150 health, so I would have 100 more HP, but the problem here is that Khepri has higher baseline protections, except when Achilles is wearing his armor, which he chose not to do. Achilles was basically gambling on a higher risk, higher reward. If he was able to either get kills directly or deal enough damage to us to allow the enemy, his allies to pick up kills. Then they would gain an early game advantage and win, because the early game in a shoeless and bootless meta, early game is quite a bit more important, because your first, I think it's 7 or so levels, don't quote me on that, it's either your first 6, 7, or 11 levels, you get movement speed. So the first, I think it's 11, I'm pretty sure it's 11 levels. So your first, the early game, and getting as much experience and levels as possible is very important in all modes. So I think that was the motivation there, was an attempt by the Achilles to utilize an early power spike to sort of acquire a early game lead by getting a couple of kills early game, particularly First Blood, and then from there roll that into a late game victory. The problem here is that that's not what his team needed. Considering that the Chang'e has such a strong early game heal, I think it would have been much smarter for the Achilles to use the armor, even if Achilles had still built Void Shield and had used the armor, that still would have been fine. But that's the primary issue. So they lost the early game because Achilles was too easy to kill, and the Achilles played too aggressively for the circumstances that were present in that match as well. And finally, also compare that to Chang'e's clearly late game intended build. You don't build Book of Thoth and Warlock Staff if you're gambling for the early game. You're looking towards the late game there. And while stacking items can still be very strong in this meta, in Joust at the very least, it's a lot riskier. I was able to pull off Gauntlet of Thebes only because we were ahead by the time that I built that. If we had been behind, I would not have wasted time building that, because the actual ability to acquire stacks would have been severely hampered. But when you're ahead, and you can freely access these minion waves, because you're strong enough to be able to withstand a surprise attack if it happens, then Gauntlet of Thebes isn't as much of a risk. So that's why I was able to get away with Gauntlet of Thebes, and yet Chang'e still hadn't finished either of her stacking items, despite having started them at the very start of the game, and I started Gauntlet of Thebes in the second half of the game. That is essentially what that comes down to. Also, the fact that the Medusa was hogging all the stats, the stacks, despite Chang'e clearly building a large quantity of stacks, also is a large clue to a lack of team cohesion, really. Also, if you'll notice, I don't think Chang'e ever ulted, which was a pretty huge error. I'm not sure why if she did not do it to me. She did not ult me. I think she might have ulted, yeah, she ulted once. That was towards the mid-game when Ra and Apollo almost died, and I came in from behind because we'd taken their tower, and I attacked them from behind to try to prevent them from killing my teammates. I believe Chang'e used her ult right before I turned the corner, if I read the situation right. I would have to go back and watch the video again, but I'm pretty sure she ulted just once there, and I don't think she ever ulted any other time during that match, at least to my knowledge. I don't know why you would want to. Quite frankly, not using your ult is worse than... Well, okay, in terms of ult usage, basically it comes down to the worst thing you can possibly do is hit nobody with your ult. You just use it and it means nothing. That's the worst thing that can happen. But the second worst thing that can happen is not using it at all. Even if you only hit one person with your ult, that's still doing something. And it's better than just holding onto it and letting it sit there doing nothing, because sitting there and having it do nothing is almost like constantly missing with it. You just have it in reserve, yes, but by refusing to use it in a fight, that means you're only operating with 3 abilities. The Medusa used her ult a couple of times, but while her ult normally would have been very effective against our comp, Ra has really no escape from her ult, even if he isn't petrified, and I could escape, but I really don't have any particular reason to. Only Apollo would really have an easy time getting away from that. But she was so far behind, but that didn't matter. So, it also seemed... on top of all of these problems, like I said, the Achilles didn't exactly play fantastically anyways. Of note was the time when Achilles blinked to the Ra when Ra and I were in front of the monocamp. That was an incredibly bad move on the Achilles part. Now, this isn't inherent to necessarily knowing how to play Achilles. This is more along the lines of being way too aggressive of a player at that time. The Achilles was behind, first off. Both Ra and I were there, so it was a 2v1 scenario. So even if Achilles was ahead, that was an ugly-looking situation. And on top of all that, his allies were nowhere nearby, and the blink put him so far ahead of his allies. I mean, his allies were pursuing for a little while, but once we got close enough to the monocamp, they gave up. But he blinked. He blinked so far away that there was no hope for him anyways. I mean, could they have capitalized off of whatever damage he had done? Potentially, yes. But considering that, again, their team was overall behind by quite a decent margin by that point, it was unlikely that they would have been able to capitalize off of that. And the Medusa mostly was, I think, mechanical issues. I think the Medusa just isn't used to playing Medusa. There were some moments where her dash was either not used when it should have been, or was used too late. Of note is when I was somehow able to get in front of her and block her dash. There were a couple of times there where she dashed way too late out of a situation and died either right after her dash or right before she should have dashed. So right before she would have dashed, pardon me. The fact that she didn't dash is what killed her a couple of times. So I think for the Medusa, that was just a matter of not really understanding probably the role of Hunter. It seemed more like a player who is used to warriors or guardians, somebody playing Hunter or not very experienced with Hunters at the very least. Now, whether or not this player was new in general or just new to the Hunter class, I don't know, but that's kind of how it looked like gameplay-wise. So I think overall this was just a series of unfortunate events for the enemy team, a whole bunch of little problems that just added up to an absolutely devastating match. Not the most devastating I've played, but definitely not a good time for them. So with that being said, thank you all very much for joining me. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, suggestions, ideas, what have you, please leave them down in the comment section below. I do love to read them. And I appreciate you all joining me on this journey, and have a great 24 hours.